Mas aí, tipo, que campeão é esse, velho? Que campeão de merda, velho. Aí, achei a única besteira que eu falei, velho. Mas é um campeão de merda, velho, um cara desse. Mas sabe por quê? Não pelo que ele fala, mas hoje tem que se esconder numa sala, velho.
Let's remember, we all know Magomed won the first one. If Pereira wins the second one, well, of course you do a rubber match. You settle it once and for all. There could be a little bit of truth to that statement. Pereira goes out there and smokes him. If he was to do that, then yeah, maybe there wouldn't be a third match.
It's a good fight. I believe it'll be a lot more competitive than the first time around. I believe Alex is a smart fighter. I believe he does make good adjustments. He's always grinding. He's always working. The same can be said for Ankalaev. Ankalaev is a grinder. He's a very gamed opponent, but I believe it's all gonna come down to adjustments that Alex makes. The important thing is on Alex to make adjustments, and we're gonna see if he can make them.
UFC 320 is just around the corner, and things are getting heated as Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev are mocking each other in a verbal war on social media. Alex Pereira exploded at Magomed Ankalaev for avoiding him at the UFC Performance Institute. He mocked Ankalaev for hiding in a room while Pereira was present, calling him a coward. Pereira recounted seeing Ankalaev's coach but not Ankalaev himself, and described a funny moment when someone from his team noticed Ankalaev being quietly escorted away by staff. He stressed that he wasn't foolish enough to fall for such tricks and made it clear he wouldn't chase a fight that wasn't meant to happen.
Uma coisa até engraçada que aconteceu ali agora, a saída do PI, né? Eu vi ali o treinador do Ankalaev. Eu fiquei ali na minha, mas não vi o Ankalaev. O engraçado foi na hora que eu saí do PI. E aí quando eu cheguei no carro, né? Um cara do meu time, né? Tava lá dentro ainda, né? E viu, tipo, a menina do PI falando pro Ankalaev: pode vir, ele já foi embora já. Tipo, porra, escondendo o cara, se escondendo o cara na salinha ali, velho. O cara acha que eu vou encontrar ele e vou sair brigando com o cara, velho. Pô, sou idiota, né, velho?
Alex Pereira further reacts to Magomed Ankalaev's tweets, calling him a chump. Pereira admitted he hadn't seen those tweets before. After reading the tweet, he dismissed it as nonsense and expressed that he would have handled it differently in person. He repeated his frustration that Ankalaev hid in a room while Pereira was nearby, reinforcing his view that Ankalaev was avoiding him.
Mas será que não foi porque ele falou na internet?
Eu não sei o que ele falou, não.
Você, Potan, você está certo. Eu não vou ter nenhuma palavra a dizer, porque você vai acabar dormindo depois que ter que trabalhar na borracharia de novo.
É, pode ser, né? Tá vendo? O cara fala besteira. Eu nem tinha visto isso aí, velho. De verdade.
Eu tô ligado.
Pô, de verdade, eu segurava o BO, entendeu? Mas o ponto de o cara se esconder numa sala, velho, porque eu tô no mesmo ambiente, velho. Ah, pô, o cara é um frouxo, velho. Esse é um frouxo, pô.
Botana slammed Magomed Ankalaev, calling him a terrible champion. He said he would never start a fight unless forced to defend himself, but criticized Ankalaev for hiding in a room, labeling the behavior as cowardly. Pereira insisted the true courage would show in the cage, implying that Ankalaev's actions outside it revealed his weakness despite holding a title.
Eu vou ficar na minha ali, entendeu? Eu nunca vou, tipo, arrumar uma confusão com o cara, nunca vou chegar. Lógico, a não ser que o cara venha pra cima, tá ligado? Tá, eu tenho que me defender também, né? Mas aí, tipo, que campeão é esse, velho? Que campeão de merda, velho. Aí, achei a única besteira que eu falei, velho. Mas é um campeão de merda, velho, um cara desse. Mas sabe por quê? Não pelo que ele fala, mas hoje tem que se esconder numa sala, velho. Demonstrou que é um cagão, velho. Vamos ver. Vamos ver. Porra, se escondendo agora, mas porra, a gente vai dar na jaula lá, velho, trancado lá, velho. Não vai ter pra... A não ser que ele vai pular a grade, velho. Ah, um campeão de merda, um cara desse, velho. Oh. Chama!
On the other hand, Magomed Ankalaev also fired back at Alex Pereira, calling him out for claiming Ankalaev was avoiding him. He reminded everyone that he already gave Pereira a rematch and expected gratitude, pointing out that he had dominated Pereira for 5 rounds and executed everything he planned in the fight. Ankalaev urged to focus on actual fighting instead of exchanging trash talk. Magomed Ankalaev said, "This clown who I'm fighting said I'm hiding from him. I've given him a rematch, and he should be very grateful. I whooped him for 5 rounds and I did everything I wanted to during the fight. Let's focus on fighting and not trash talking." In another video, Alex Pereira further criticized Magomed Ankalaev for avoiding a face-to-face encounter at the UFC Performance Institute, labeling the behavior as evasive. Pereira expressed frustration that Ankalaev was not willing to engage directly and highlighted that he acts rather than talks. If a fight were meant to happen, he would handle it decisively. He also took aim at the Resians and others to mediate and emphasized that any confrontation would occur only on his own terms.
Aí o cara fala para dessa, ele se escondendo, velho. velho. É um cuzão, velho, cara, velho. Porra, velho. Um frouxo, velho. Ele ficou olhando, tipo assim. Será que ele tá com raiva? Será que ele não tá? E eu só na minha, não falei nada, aí não saiu da salinha. Mas se eu tivesse cumprimentado, ou tivesse balançado a cabeça pra ele, ele fala, ei, Ankalaev, você pode sair, pode estar de boa com a gente. Não vai ter briga não. Mano, se eu for querer um dia fazer isso, brigar com alguém, velho, você acha que eu falo, vou bater nesse cara? Tá? Eu nem falo, velho. Eu nem falo, tá ligado? Eu só deixo. Na hora que vim, cumprimento o Globo, cumprimenta você, pá, se eu quero, eu quero pegar, é ali mesmo, toma, receba. Já era. Os caras ficam falando, sabe que os parceiros não vai deixar, tá ligado? Claro. E aí fica assim, me segura, senão, me segura, senão eu mato, me segura, tá ligado? Porra, isso não existe, velho. Se eu quero fazer a parada, velho, eu só fico quieto. Fica aqui na minha. Você acha que eu vou avisar vocês? Você acha que eu vou avisar o Globo? Eu vou nada. Vocês não vão deixar, velho.
Ankalaev emphasized his confidence against Pereira, noting that while Pereira had suffered 3 career knockouts, he himself had never been knocked down. He declared that he planned to deliver Pereira's 4th knockout, leaving no room for debate. Magomed Ankalaev said, "This guy has been knocked out 3 times in his career. I've never been knocked down. This time, I will give him his 4th knockout, end of the story." Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen explained why the Alex Pereira vs Magomed Ankalaev rematch isn't creating much excitement. He said fans aren't intrigued because most expect the result to mirror their first fight. Sonnen added that the other contenders campaigning for a title also seemed to assume Ankalaev would win. He noted that the initial fight had a clear outcome with no major controversy, leaving little reason to believe a rematch would be different.
Well, everything just changed. So, Pereira versus Ankalaev is very much going under the radar, and it's going under the radar for a number of reasons, but none of which is greater than the fact that we believe we know the outcome of that fight. Like, there just hasn't been a lot of pomp and circumstance around the idea that Pereira is going to win that fight. Other guys in the division that see themselves lined up, when they come out and talk about it without disrespecting Pereira, but they do mention, I think I should be next. I think I should take on Ankalaev next. They will give a hint or a clue that they believe that Ankalaev is going to win. I don't see that any different. I watched that first fight. There was nothing compelling from a controversial standpoint that would make you believe that if you did 5 more rounds, you were going to get a different result.
Chael Sonnen expressed surprise at how the narrative around Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev was unfolding. He pointed out that Ankalaev had already beaten Pereira, but kept calling him out online. Sonnen admitted he initially thought he was seeing an old article, only to realize Ankalaev had repeatedly made these calls on social media. He found it odd that Pereira never responded, which made the situation feel strange and unusual.
I'm sharing with the way the media and the story is being told. It appears that he's not overly interested in the fight. If you guys will remember, Ankalaev beat Pereira. Ankalaev then calls out Pereira. We're all looking around going, I literally said this to my producer. My producer, Ryan, shows me this. I go, Ryan, are you showing me an old article? What do you mean Ankalaev called out Pereira? He just beat Pereira. Ryan goes, no. He called him out today. Said Ankalaev, who beat Pereira, is calling out Pereira? He said, yes, he called him out today. I had to go to social media, go to Ankalaev, and make sure that I had this story right. And sure enough, he called him out again, and he called him out again, and he called him out the next week, and then he really started to ramp things up a month or so later, and Pereira never, that I saw, responded. I never saw Pereira respond.
Chael Sonnen claims Alex Pereira wants to move up to the heavyweight division. He believes Pereira has the potential to reach champion status and wants to see him compete at that level. Sonnen added that this fight isn't necessarily the one Pereira truly wants, reflecting a common misjudgment in the sport about a fighter's true intentions.
But every part about Pereira is he just keeps dropping hints. I mean, every single thing that he does has to do with what he weighs. Doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks ago when he was 244 pounds or if it was this morning when he was 234 pounds. Everything that he puts out has to do with his weight, which I interpret is foreshadowing that he doesn't want to be a 205 pounder. And I don't want him at 205 pounds, personally. I believe he is capable of champ status. I want to see that. I want to see that in my lifetime. Or I want to see the opportunity. I want him at heavyweight. But that would still speak to the idea that this is not the fight that he wants, and this is just kind of the way and the vibe of our industry. And I now here to tell you, our industry got that wrong.
Alex Pereira further addressed the tweets and callouts from Magomed Ankalaev. He explained that even before their first fight, he had shown interest in facing Ankalaev multiple times, but the matchup wasn't made. Pereira said that the UFC and Ankalaev kept posting online claiming they were ready to fight while he had already planned a fight time frame for August. The date shifted to October, but from Pereira's perspective, he never refused a fight. He was simply following the schedule he had set, not reacting to the public calls.
Well, start from before the first fight. Seemed that the UFC now even wanted to put him in. Alex multiple times said that he'll show interest in fighting him. They will not make the fight happen. Okay, fight happened, went the way that it went. Since then, we kind of had an idea when Alex wanted to fight him. Was already conversation with the UFC, and this guy kept tweeting that, I want to fight this day, I want to fight this day. Alex already had a time frame for August. Couldn't happen in August because of the UFC, but and then October. But he the one that kept saying, I'm ready, I cannot fight, I'm ready, I want to fight, I'm ready, I want to fight. But seeing that this dude not even have power inside its own organization, you know. So, on Alex's perspective, he's fighting the time frame that he aimed for it. Not that he turned down fight or anything like that. He aimed for August. UFC gonna put together in August. They pushed to October.
Corey Sandhagen also shared his thoughts on this rematch and said the fight was tough to call but noted Ankalaev's dominance. Even in rounds, Pereira won. He praised Ankalaev's strategy in the fourth round, pinning Pereira against the cage to secure the round before returning to striking risks. Sandhagen believes Ankalaev has the advantage and predicts he will win. Corey Sandhagen said, yeah, that one's tough. Ankalaev was dominant in that fight, even in the rounds Pereira won. Ankalaev maintained a lot of control. I really liked what Ankalaev did in the fourth round when he pinned Pereira against the cage just to secure the round. That was a genius strategy. He knew he had won the round and could go back to taking risks and striking. Ankalaev can always use that option unless Pereira is ready for it, and I think Ankalaev will win. Aljamain Sterling also expressed his views on the Ankalaev vs. Poden rematch, calling their first fight unusual. He feels Pereira might have shown signs of burnout, and Ankalaev wasn't at his best either. He said the rematch is intriguing but hopes it won't follow the same slow pace which made the first fight less exciting to watch. Aljamain Sterling said, I don't know who wins. That fight was really weird. I felt like there was some burnout with Alex Pereira. Maybe that's just me, but as an athlete competing that often without time off, going through those 5 rounds, training camps, his style really wears on you mentally and physically. And I think it showed. It looked like he was going through the motions. Ankalaev also didn't look like his best version, so for them to have a rematch, it's intriguing. I just hope it's not the same tempo as for the first fight because that wasn't very fun to watch. Johnny Walker also shared his prediction for the Pereira vs. Ankalaev fight, highlighting that both are skilled strikers. He noted that Ankalaev approaches fights with patience and strategy, gradually building his wins instead of rushing.
A rematch between Ankalaev and Alex Pereira. You fought Magomed Ankalaev twice. What do you think is the most important thing for Alex Pereira to do getting a second crack at this guy?
Yeah, both guys, they are very experienced. They both are strikers, right? Ankalaev is a striker too. And both have a lot of experience, right? But I believe Ankalaev very smart, right? And he take his time. He never rush. And he build his winning by step, you know?
Johnny Walker added that Pereira needs to be more aggressive, as both fighters tend to fight cautiously despite their skills. He believes the one who takes more risks could gain the upper hand, otherwise the fight might go to the judges. Walker said a true champion should aim for a finish and admitted he'd be excited to see this matchup end decisively.
But I believe that if Pereira put a little bit more, you know, be a little bit more aggressive, because Pereira also, he doesn't come rushing people. I think the difference in that fight, who's gonna have more advantage, who take more risk, you know, a little bit more risk. Both guys are very safe. They are deadly, you know, but they're both very safe. And if you both keep safe, he's gonna go for the points again, you know. I believe a title shot, you need to show that you're the champ. You need to finish the opponent, because there's the ultimate reason to become champion, go there and finish the guy. You know, I believe in finishes, you know, and I'll be happy, very happy if I watch your finish on that fight.
UFC light heavyweight Modestas Bukauskas predicted that Ankalaev would win again. He acknowledged Pereira's power and well-rounded skills, noting his strong takedown defense in their first fight, but felt that Ankalaev's impressive performance in the initial matchup would carry over to the rematch. Modestas Bukauskas: I personally believe Ankalaev will get the job done again. Obviously, Pereira is extremely powerful and very well versed in every area, as we saw his takedown defense hold up in that fight, but I feel it's Ankalaev's time now. He had an incredible performance in the first fight, and I feel it will go the same way in the second. In another interview, Modestas Bukauskas again picked Magomed Ankalaev to defend his belt in the rematch. He recognized Alex Pereira's striking ability, but predicted that Ankalaev would implement his strategy more effectively in the rematch, highlighting that Ankalaev's southpaw stance could give Pereira trouble.
I still think Ankalaev's gonna do the job. As amazing as Pereira is, I think Ankalaev will even be stepping up his game even more and implementing it even more. I knew the strikes from Pereira's side wasn't quite as much, but I do feel that southpaw style is going to be a difficult puzzle for him to deal with.
UFC middleweight Joe Pyfer said he doesn't expect the rematch between Ankalaev and Podin to play out differently from their first fight. He praised Ankalaev's hand speed, power, patience, and confidence, adding that while he enjoys watching Podin, he believes Ankalaev's performance will stay consistent. Joe Pyfer said, honestly, I was very impressed with the hand speed and power of Ankalaev in that fight, and how patient he was and how confident he feels. So no, I don't think it's going to go much differently. I'm a big fan of watching Podin, but yeah, I think Ankalaev remains the same. On the other hand, Alex Pereira reveals that he's fully prepared for the rematch, but explains that he only shares about 5% of his training footage online. He says this is because he doesn't want to expose his techniques to the public. Pereira adds that he has been working hard behind the scenes and prefers to keep most of his preparation private, rather than putting too much of it on the internet.
Reassistiu a sua primeira luta contra o Ankalaev? O que você achou dessa luta? O que você pretende, que você poderia mudar, se puder falar, né?
Pô, eu assisti algumas vezes, né? Pô, não assisti tantas vezes que nem as outras, é claro. Acho que foi o suficiente, né? Pra ver ali onde teve as falhas, né? É óbvio que teve algumas falhas ali. A gente tá fazendo treinos ali com a galera, pô, pessoal, boa trocação. Eu trouxe algumas pessoas de fora, não postei muito vídeo dessa vez. Às vezes as pessoas falando lá, pô, tá mostrando muito, tá? Pô, mostrei, ok, 5%. Se tá impressionando isso aí, pô, legal. Legal, 5% tá.
Alex Pereira says he doesn't expect a trilogy fight to happen. He explains that while the UFC makes the final decision and he's prepared to face whoever they choose, he feels his opponent's recent loss has likely removed him from the title picture.
Yeah, and if you go out there, you beat him, are we looking at a trilogy here, or do you think it not necessarily works that way, given your credentials in the sport compared to his?
Yeah, I think the story will be over. You know, it's obviously out of my control. It's up to the UFC, and if they want to do it again, I mean, I'll fight anyone. But, you know, to be honest, you know, from everything we've seen, I think with him losing, he's not going to fight for the title anymore.
Michael Bisping responds to Alex Pereira's claim that Magomed Ankalaev would not deserve a trilogy if he loses the rematch, calling it a strange stance since many believe Ankalaev won their first fight. Bisping argues that a third fight would normally be inevitable, but admits Pereira's points hold weight if he wins in dominant fashion, coming out aggressive, overwhelming Ankalaev and finishing him convincingly. However, if the rematch is competitive or goes to a decision, Bisping insists a trilogy would be unavoidable.
Alex Pereira came out and said, if Ankalaev loses, it's unlikely that he gets another title shot. And that's kind of a statement that leaves you scratching your head a little bit. Let's remember, we all know Magomed won the first one. If Pereira wins the second one, well, of course, you do a rubber match. You do the third one. You settle it once and for all. There could be a little bit of truth to that statement. If Pereira goes out there and smokes him, dominates him from the opening bell, is super aggressive, pushes him away, mocks him, disrespects him, knocks him out cold, he can just say, listen, I had a bad night at the office. Look at what I did. I'm fresh. I'm motivated. I am not taking things for granted. I just destroyed him and made it look easy. If he was to do that, then yeah, okay, maybe there wouldn't be a third match. But if the fight is competitive and if the fight goes to a decision, then 1,000,000% they have to do a rubber match.
And that wraps up today's video. We hope you've enjoyed it. Share your thoughts about the matchup in the comment section and subscribe to our channel to get more updates about upcoming UFC encounters.